Rumors had been spreading for weeks in Fort Meade, Maryland, about machines that could listen to everything. What began as whispered alarm inside corridors of the National Security Agency would become one of the sharpest confrontations between secrecy and democracy in the 21st century. After 9/11, the U.S. intelligence apparatus expanded quietly. New authorities, new data stores, new legal interpretations of surveillance. By 2013, the NSA was no longer merely tapping foreign networks at battlefronts. It was building systems designed to collect and parse vast oceans of telephone records and internet traffic. The story that erupted that summer was not a single scandal, but a constellation of programs with ordinary names. PRISM, XKEYSCORE, Boundless Informant, each a technical instrument and a political provocation. Edward Snowden, a 29-year-old systems administrator and former CIA contractor working for Booz Allen Hamilton in Hawaii, began copying classified slides and internal documents. He did not seek fame. He sought to show citizens what their government was doing in their name. In early June 2013, The Guardian and The Washington Post published the first of Snowden's leaks. A secret court order demanding Verizon hand over daily telephony metadata. A separate slide describing PRISM, a program the NSA said allowed it to collect targeted communications from major technology companies under court authorization. Follow-up stories revealed XKEYSCORE's reach, queries that could retrieve the content of emails, web activity, and more. And a tool called Boundless Informant that mapped how many records the NSA had collected from every country. The revelations were surgical in their effect. They exposed a dual reality. The agencies were operating under legal cover, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and provisions of the Patriot Act. But their interpretation of those laws allowed, in practice, bulk collection and analysis that many members of Congress and most of the public had not expected. Tech companies insisted they complied with lawful orders and later published transparency reports. Privacy advocates pointed to secret court memoranda and argued the scale violated civil liberties. The administration defended the programs as vital to prevent terror attacks. Critics argued that secret courts and broad collection had created a surveillance apparatus untethered from democratic oversight. If you want more deep, cinematic breakdowns of hidden history and modern power struggles like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next story might change how you see the world. The consequence was immediate and chaotic. Snowden fled to Hong Kong, meeting journalists Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras. In June, he left for Moscow. His passport was revoked, and he eventually took temporary refuge in Russia. The United States charged him under the Espionage Act and for theft of government property, framing him as a traitor. Supporters hailed him as a whistleblower and champion of transparency. Institutional shock followed. Courts, Congress, and the technology sector were forced to reckon with practices that had been invisible to the public. Laws were tested. Litigation challenged the government's interpretation of Section 215 of the Patriot Act. In 2015, the USA Freedom Act curtailed bulk calling records collection and added transparency measures. Tech companies accelerated encryption and public transparency reports. Public debate about metadata, targeted warrants, and foreign intelligence collection intensified. Yet many questions remained unresolved. The NSA insisted it had stopped practices when courts or legislation required it. Reformers insisted that secret legal reasoning still allowed intrusive collection. For ordinary citizens, the simplest effect was seismic. The public learned that digital life, phone calls, emails, search histories, could be subject to large-scale government scrutiny. The Snowden revelations did not end surveillance, but they altered the balance of knowledge. They forced an ugly, necessary national conversation about how democracies should wield powerful tools in the name of security. They also produced a living paradox. The man who exposed the system could not return home, while the system persisted and adapted. Nearly a decade on, the debates Snowden ignited about privacy, oversight, and accountability remain central to how North America governs data in an age when everything is potentially visible.